Well, today we're celebrating the legacy of Mary Kay Ash. It's her birthday today on May 12th. So, in this week's Beauty with Beth, I am sharing her incredible story and why she started this company, as well as the values that still guide everything that we do today in the company, and how beauty, confidence, and opportunity all connect, all through one woman and her vision and her dream. Well, I am Beth Eiler, Sales Director with Mary Kay, and I am excited to share with you this week on Beauty with Beth, where I share all things beauty to assist you in finding and enhancing your true beauty that shines. And this week, it's all about Mary Kay Ash, because today, this is her birthday, May 12th. And although she is no longer with us, we still celebrate her birthday and recognize the day that she was born and the impact that her life had on countless thousands of women, including my own. And that's what I would love to share with you today. I am going to share some of her stories, some about the company. I'm going to share a little bit of how my story fits in with that. I am going to ask some trivia questions, see what you might know about Mary Kay Ash and the company. And hopefully you will learn some things about the woman, about the company, and you will appreciate the legacy that she left and the impact that she had on so many. Whether you are a part of Mary Kay or not, she was a remarkable woman and she inspired so many other women in all areas of life. So that's what we're going to share today. Well, first of all, I want to share with you a few of the things that have impacted me so personally through my Mary Kay journey. And that has been, when I'm recording this, 37 years. So it's been, I always say I grew up in Mary Kay. Like I was young when I started. And so really I grew up in my adult growing up. I mean, I grew up as a child in my home, of course, but really, maturing as an adult, growing up as an adult, I have done that through and in this Mary Kay business so much. Of course, there have been other influences in my life, but this has been a big one. This company, Mary Kay Ash, the person, and all that's associated with that. So some things that I have appreciated the most about Mary Kay Ash, the woman, in my tenure with the company, in my exposure to her and everything about her is, her philosophies, which I am going to share in a minute, and then her velvet and steel personality. And her velvet and steel personality, we say that because she was so encouraging. She was so in tune to people. When she spoke, even in the arena with thousands of women there, when she spoke, you felt like she was talking just to you. And if you were privileged to speak to her personally, whether it was in a line, at seminar, or at some training, at an event, anything like that, she would always take your hand with hers, and she would look in your eyes. And she would not be doing this at all with the things going on. And if you can imagine, by the time I came in the company, Mary Kay had already been around 20 years. So it was pretty well known. And she was a larger than life figure. And everybody wanted her attention, right? And so at events especially, that, when people were in line to get to say hi to her, she would make sure she clasped your hand, looked at you in the eyes, and she would not look at the, line. How many more people do I have? Or who else is clamoring for my attention? And if somebody came up to her and she could see it out of her periphery, she would just gently lay her hand on that person, but keep her eyes on you. She was a master at seeing people and encouraging them and touching their heart. And that was the velvet part of her. She so mastered being kind and just interacting with each person. That was the velvet side of her. Like, she was so appreciative, so thankful, so grateful. She was so encouraging. She was so inspiring. But she had a steel side to her as well. And so all of the queens that I have heard through the years that were crowned queen by Mary Kay at our annual seminar, she would always, lean in and give them huge compliments. I'm so proud of you for your $1 million year, or whatever it might be. So excited that you are queen. What a beautiful queen you are. You represent us so well. Things like that. And then she would say, she wouldn't just leave it there. And then she would say, next year, I see you, and whatever the next level for them could be, she would always bring them up higher. And she was so witty. And a lot of times in her speeches, she would be talking and she would say, something that it would encourage us to do as a sales force, something with our sales or our team building, something like that. And she would say, she'd always put her little finger right here, and she goes, and I just know you're going to do it, and I expect to hear from you, or something like that, something that would cause us to, okay, she's serious and I am going to do this. And she would always, when anybody thanked her for starting the company, for the opportunity that they'd given her, she would always say, pass it on. She would always encourage us to take that next step and not just absorb the thank you, I appreciate that. She would always say, pass it on. So she would never leave us where we were. She would always encourage us to do more. And whatever the requirements were, those were the requirements. And she did not budge on that. And so if for some reason we were close, but we didn't quite make it, she would praise us for what we did and say, I know you're going to do it next time. Like she wouldn't budge. Like, this is the standard and you can do it and come up to it, right? Like, just get there. And so I loved that about her. Such a wonderful example of that velvet and steel and how that impacts people. So that's what I appreciated so much about her. And then her philosophies of faith first, family second, career third, making everybody feel important and to look people in the eye when you talk to them, be present to the moment, all of those things. So many philosophies that mirror my own philosophies and that really in succinct ways put into words the priorities and the philosophies that I wanted to live my life by. And so those are the things that have probably impacted me the most with my time in the business and my exposure to Mary Kay Ash, the woman. So that's a little bit about what has impacted me. Now, here's some fun trivia about Mary Kay. Let's see how much you know. So the first one is, Mary Kay's signature color is pink, right? So why did Mary Kay Ash pick that color for our products and our business? Was it because pink was her favorite color? Or was it because she thought it would look pretty in the bathrooms of the time? Remember, she started the company in 1963. So which do you think it is? Go ahead and put that in the comments. Was it her favorite color, or she thought it would look good in the bathrooms of that era? Well, it wasn't her favorite color. I believe it was red was her favorite color. But she, at that time in the early 60s, all the bathrooms were white, and she thought that pretty pink would just look gorgeous in there. People would be proud to display their products, and that's where it started. And so all of the products were pink, the packaging, and then it just blossomed from there and grew from there. So that is why pink is our signature color. Next is she started the Mary Kay Ash Foundation, and that focuses on two areas. Now, the Mary Kay Ash Foundation is celebrating 30 years this year in 2026, and we have raised over $100 million in the 30 years as a foundation for the two causes. So what are these two causes? I'm going to give you three choices and pick the two out of the three. So is it cancers affecting women, protecting the environment, or domestic violence? Which two of those three are the two causes that the Mary Kay Ash Foundation focuses on? Again, so proud of the foundation and all that it does. We've given over $100 million towards those two causes that we hold dear, that the foundation holds dear, that Mary Kay Ash held dear, and that she started the foundation for. And so those two causes are cancers specifically affecting women and the fight against domestic violence. And so that is what all of our fundraising efforts go towards, supporting those two things. All right, next question. Cars are a big deal in Mary Kay, and we can earn free cars as sales leaders in the company. We can earn some free cars. And so how many different cars can we earn? You might know one of them, but did you know that we have more than one? So how many cars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how many different cars are there that Salesforce leaders can earn? Now, it's such a great thing when Salesforce members earn a car. It is not a free one. They don't just give it to us because they think we're cute or, we drew our name out of a hat. It is based on us and our team and the work that we do, and it's over a 6-month period. And then when we earn the car, it is ours for 2 years. The company pays the lease payment, and they pay a portion of the insurance. So it's a really great deal. And at the end of that 2 years, we turn that car in and we get another one as long as we either maintain or increase the production that we earned the car with in the first place. So how many cars are there? Which ones? There are 4 different cars. So the first level is a Chevy Trax. Then there's a Chevy Equinox. Currently, when I'm making this, they have changed over the years. So by the time you watch this, they might be different. But currently, Chevy Trax, Chevy Equinox, the iconic pink Cadillac, and then as NSD is the top level in the company, they can choose their Cadillac. They've got a couple of options. All the others, it's just this is the model that you get. So pretty exciting. Such a great perk for sure. All right, next question. Do you know what a consultant's profit potential is in Mary Kay? Is it 30%, 40%, 50%? Which is it? A consultant's profit potential in Mary Kay. 30, 40, or 50%? Take a guess. Put that in the comments below. Well, Mary Kay, when she started the company, she had been in direct sales for a long time. And when she started in direct sales, she was a single mother of 3 children. And she knew how important it was to get a good return for her effort because, she knew that it took a lot of money. She needed the money for her family. It was important for them to eat. And so she wanted to provide a great value for consultants, a great profit potential for the time invested. So we can buy our products every day of the year and have a 30 or a 50% profit potential. It's a tiered discount structure. And depending on our active status, we can either have a 30% or a 50% profit potential. And that's pretty amazing. I enjoy the 50%. For years, that's what I've enjoyed. I haven't been at the lower level for a long, long time. So it's a nice profit margin. All right, the next one. Mary Kay had a successful career in direct sales prior to starting Mary Kay. I think I just answered that for you, but we'll go ahead and say it. True or false? She had a successful career in direct sales prior to starting Mary Kay. True or false? Probably know it's true because I just really alluded to that in the question before. I didn't really think about that. But she had been in direct sales very successfully for over 25 years. And she had risen to a higher level in the company that she was with for the longest. And she had been she was a great salesperson because she was great with people. She believed in people. She related to people. She made people feel important. So she was an awesome salesperson. And she had been promoted to a sales trainer position. And you have to realize this is in the 40s and 50s. She started the company in the early 60s, so mostly 40s and 50s. And it was a very male-dominated business world at that time. And so she had gotten to that sales training position. And then these men would come in, she would train them, they would be successful, and then they would get promoted above her. And it would happen again and again and again. And she finally had had enough. And she said, that is not right. Because just because I'm a woman, they don't think that I should be promoted. And so she had resigned, and her intention was to retire and to write a book to encourage other direct selling, other women in direct sales. And so she sat down to write that book. And after she was, writing her notes out, jotting her outline out, she's like, okay, because she wrote all the things that, she appreciated about the company she'd been with, and then all the things she would change. And she realized, well, I've got a marketing plan. Like, I could just start my own company. And I love that because she didn't start out with, I love these cosmetics, I want to sell them to everybody. It was, I want to give women an opportunity to have all that they want to have and to be all that they want to be and to enrich their lives through direct selling. And so then she chose the product line. And so her heart was for women to be successful. That's the reason she started the company. All right. Another question. Mary Kay was widowed twice. Did you know if she was widowed twice? Take a guess. Go ahead and put that in the comments. Was she widowed twice? Well, that is true. She was. As far as I know, with the information I have seen in her autobiography, she was married very young out of high school, and her husband, that was right before World War II, he went off to the war, and when he came back, he left and asked for a divorce. And then she was married again later, and that is who she was married to when she was beginning her company. And 1 month to the day before the company was set to open, her husband passed away at the breakfast table of a heart attack, I believe. And so she had a choice. Do I go ahead and go and start this company without him? or give up on my dream. And she was going to, the plan had been between the two of them. She was going to work with the sales force, do all the training, be with the people, and he was doing all of the business behind the scenes, business things. And so she needed someone to assist her. And she decided to go for it anyway and start the company. And then she did get married again after that. And Mel Ash was his name. And he passed away of cancer not that long before I became a consultant. I think it was several years, but it wasn't super long before I became a consultant. And that is one of the things that sparked her to start the Mary Kay Foundation, Mary Kay Ash Foundation, because of her experience with her husband having cancer, and then all of the other Salesforce members that we had that had cancer that she knew. It was heartbreaking to her, and she wanted to do something about that. So that is where that came in. All right. Mary Kay had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. And did they all work for Mary Kay Cosmetics? When she started the company, they were grown. They weren't at home. They were grown because she started it later in life. So were her 3 children involved in the company? Did they work for the company? Maybe, yes, no? Go ahead and put that in the comments. Well, it is true. They all at one time or another worked for the company, worked in the company. Her daughter Marilyn was a beauty consultant for a time, and she actually was the first consultant in the Houston area. She took the Mary Kay opportunity to the Houston area. Her son Ben worked for the company for quite a few years, and he was mostly in the warehouse and distribution part. And then her youngest son, Richard Rogers, when her husband passed and she said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and, start this company. He gave her his life savings at the time, which was a couple $1,000s. And I have to remember this is early 60s and he was 19 years old. And he said, I will step in and help you with the company. And many times I heard her say, I wasn't too sure about that. He was only 19. How many of us would be like, trusting our 19-year-old child with our entire life savings and life dream, right? But he turned out to be a business and marketing genius, and he was the CEO of the company for many, many, many years. And then now his son, Ryan Rogers, Mary Kay's grandson, is the CEO of the company. So that's pretty cool. And then the last one is this true or false? Mary Kay would never tell anyone her age. What do you think? Is that true or false? Mary Kay would never tell anyone her age. Would she or would she not? Well, she was a very witty woman, and she also was very proud of being a woman and really believed in the femininity of women and the power of that femininity. And so she always said that if a woman would tell her age, she would tell anything. And so in all of the time that I was with the company and she was involved when she was, healthy and was able to be involved, nobody ever knew her age. I mean, we guessed based on her life events and the age of her children, we would guess a range, but nobody knew, at least I'm sure, close family members, of course, knew, and probably some of the very top NSDs might have known. But the majority of the sales force and other people publicly, she would never say her age. And so when she passed away in 2001 and we got to read the obituary, that's when that's how old she was. That's when I think the majority of people found out how old she was. So those are some fun things about Mary Kay Ash, the woman, about the company. Those are some things that I have appreciated so much about her and some of the lessons that I learned, some of the observances that I made about her and her life. And I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something new about Mary Kay Ash, about the company. And I hope that you were inspired by her life story and the things that she held true and the things that she pursued and the perseverance and the grit that she had and the encouragement to never give up on your dreams, whatever they may be, even if it seems late in life. It is still possible. We can do anything. She always said, you can do anything you want to do if you're willing to do the work to do it, right? So I hope you enjoyed this. I would love to hear what you enjoyed most, what you learned about Mary Kay. Go ahead and put those in the comments, and I will look forward to seeing you on the next Beauty with Beth segment.